If you've ever wanted to start a journal but held back because you were afraid that someone might read it, this video is for you. I'm Amanda Close and I've kept a journal for 42 years, and this is my video about privacy. I love that my version of going viral is all about keeping a written journal. How great is that? So welcome back. I am going to talk about privacy because I think that is the one that really felt to me most urgent. I wanted to just respond to some of the comments that I received in that video last week. I'm still getting lots of comments. If you have actually commented and I haven't gotten back to you, it's largely because I'm just overwhelmed with the volume, which is a fantastic problem to have. And I felt like there were a number of people who feel really reluctant to write down their thoughts and to document their days because they are so afraid of family or loved ones finding what they have written and either, being angry or having to deal with that kind of conflict. And so I wanted to talk about some strategies for how to think about that. So listen, look, there were some people in the comments who said, oh, you have to create a conlang like Dothraki, Elvish, or Klingon. I think that feels extreme. So I have some other strategies for keeping a written journal. And keeping a written journal specifically so that you're not worried about a violation of privacy. And also just to give people a little bit of moral support. Okay, but anyway, let me go through some of these strategies for dealing with the very real possibility that you are worried that a loved one might read your journal. So the very first strategy is really to use a very small notebook and to keep it with you as often as you can. So for years and years, I have carried my journals with me in my handbag. And but honestly, they have much smaller journals than these. You can go down to like a fraction of the size and just have a very small notebook and take it with you. Keep it small. Don't leave it on the nightstand. Don't leave it as a display object. This take it with you concept is really about the logistics of privacy, about keeping it easy to keep private. I think this is important because I do want to acknowledge that this is a very real concern for people. I don't want to make light of that just because I come from this crazy privilege of having kept a journal and had people supporting me in doing that for my whole life long. The second would be camouflage. So you could use a journal that doesn't look like a journal. It may be a notebook or a planner instead, and you end up using it more like a journal. So that is the camouflage idea. This removes the temptation that others may consider your book a kind of confessional sort of item. And so if that is something that you feel would be helpful, that is something that I offer for folks who are really struggling with this. The other thing that you can do, and this one is probably where I am most I was really sort of thinking through some of the folks who had said that they were really concerned. And to me, this is kind of the most promising, but it's going to seem a little offbeat. So I want you to write with the certainty that others will read your work. And I know that seems counterintuitive and like you would be self-censoring. But, in some ways, we are all part of the systems that we are part of. So if you have a very nosy sister who is not giving you the space you need, write it as if you know that they will be they will be reading it. And it's not that you won't talk about the fact that that sister is driving you crazy. It's that you might talk about it in a different way. You might do it with some level of understanding. What this does is a couple things. First is it will allow you to keep going even if you feel uncomfortable with the privacy question. It will help you to build a habit and to slowly lose some of that anxiety and fear, because as you continue with the practice, it just becomes part of who you are. Don't think about it as self-censoring. Think about it as finding a path forward that fits your life. My next one is to use a different format. So with this one, it's a little bit of an extension of the last one, meaning, try finding a different way of writing that still accomplishes some of your goal, but does it in a way that is okay for public consumption. So, for example, a gratitude journal, a lot of people, I think Oprah was big on this a few years ago, they'll write down 5 things every day that they're thankful for. The simple act of writing down 5 things you're thankful about every day can have a significant effect on your health and well-being. So I definitely think a gratitude journal is a great way to go. A book of lists. Book of lists are great because you can do things like write down the movies you've seen this year, write down the books you've read, keep a list of the places you'd like to travel to someday, personal goals for yourself. All of those things are really, really helpful. And they allow you to, again, build that practice without necessarily having it be kind of like a venting rage fest, which there's a place for that too. But maybe keep that in the Camouflage book. And then on this topic of the different formats, it is really important for me to talk a little bit about art journals. I want to talk a little bit specifically about a friend of mine from here in Brooklyn named Samantha Dion Baker. She is an incredible artist, and she's written several books, one of them very well known called Draw Your Day. And she has such a way of capturing her day through image and through text. She's been keeping these journals for years, and they are so beautiful. And I wanted to read a little quote from her introduction from Draw Your Day. She wrote, "I never wanted to reveal too much for fear that someone would read it. So I always held back a little bit and expressed serious thoughts and feelings through random doodles and drawings, only hinting at the big stuff with a few words. Drawing made me feel less vulnerable than writing out all of the details of my days. And creating those drawings helped me to decompress. Handwriting as an art form is an expression of oneself, and I have a deep appreciation for how different writing utensils can alter my script. I've always loved the act of simply writing words, stringing them together in various shapes and sizes, or using them to create abstract patterns. The words don't actually need to say anything." I mean, how cool is that? I definitely recommend that you check out Draw Your Day. She's got a bunch of books out. There's Draw Your Adventure, Draw Your World. So definitely check that out. She also has a very active Instagram as well as a Substack. So I'll leave those links below. But I think, again, she created that habit with the knowledge that her family would probably be, honestly, not just looking over her shoulder, but possibly co-creating with her. In fact, I know she recently took a trip with some of her family, I think her whole family, and they would have these collaborative spreads in her journal, which I thought was so cool, and I would love to do that if my family would ever fall for it. I think her family is really creative. In any case, you get the picture. I think an art journal is a wonderful way to go. Over time, keeping a journal, whether it's, keeping the written journal or doing a gratitude list or doing an art journal, the more you do, this is about volume, the more you do, the more it becomes part of who you are. And that writing every day, and I didn't write every day, but I've written so much that there's a tremendous amount of volume to read. It becomes overwhelming for any one person to actually read your journals and take any kind of offense, because I don't know about you, but I change my mind between breakfast and lunch about certain things. I mean, I can be like, I hate Brooklyn so much, and then I'll go to a deli and someone will be like, oh my God, I love your shoes. And I'll be like, oh my God, I love Brooklyn. So I just think that, when you have a full person represented by years and years of memory keeping and journaling, you're going to have good days and bad days. You're going to have rants and also appreciation lists. And so it becomes there's less weight for each word. If you only have a few journal entries, they're going to seem really heavy and really intense. And if someone reads those, it's going to feel really like a violation. Whereas I've got, crates and crates of my journals. And depending on the day, I might be ranting about my sister or I might be praising her, because both of those realities are true. If someone picks up this page and reads, just look at say, I don't know, raining, and more rain. Feeling a little off today. Still can't sleep. Interesting. Yeah. That was a lot about my mom. Sorry. It's not that I would be reluctant to share. It's just it might make me cry. So let's not do that here on YouTube. That's not about privacy. It's just about, controlling our emotions. Maybe that's a different video. So before I close, a couple of people wrote that they had actually been accused of being narcissistic for keeping a journal. And that to me is probably the most heartbreaking because, we can go back to antiquity and find people like Socrates, who has said that the unexamined life is not worth living. And I think that the moral there is that keeping a journal isn't an act of narcissism. It is an act of trying to understand the world around you and figure out how you fit into it and how you can improve yourself to be of better service to others. I think it is such a shame for people who feel as though this is somehow a selfish act, that this is somehow a narcissistic thing to do. For me, this is self-care of the highest order. I think that's the way we have to think about it. It may be that you feel like, well, I just don't know if I can do this. It feels really self-serving. Just try it. Just try it for a little while. And if you need to, make a promise to yourself that you will write about other people. Put the lens outward. It doesn't always have to be about your feelings, although that is also fine too, to be clear, because when you process those feelings, you are processing them so you can show up more fully in your day-to-day for everybody else. These are my thoughts. I think my real close is just to say that privacy absolutely matters, and I 100% hear the people who have been really struggling with this, but don't let the fear of an invasion of privacy steal your voice. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming last week, and hopefully you came back again this one. I hope that you have picked up a notebook and gotten a pen and that you are going to give it a try this week. And leave a comment below. Let me know if this was helpful or if you have a personal experience with managing your journals and privacy and any of these big topics. And I hope you have a fantastic week. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.